For Tutu Smiles YouTube, make sure you guys subscribe. Click the like button. Really appreciate that on the thumbs up side. You know what it is, man. It's the Smartalecs Podcast. You know who I am, Angry Al. And I'm just here today because I want to go over some of this Terry Crews shit. Terry Crews actually had an interview on Don Lemon. Don Lemon, lightweight, he let him know a few things, but I want y'all to hear it. Then I'm going to do my, say what I got to say about this shit, because Terry Crews, nigga, Terry Crews reminds me of a field nigga who got promoted to a house nigga, and now is just taking his whole house nigga role to he's never been in the field before. That's the type of nigga he is, sellout, straight up. That's what he sounds like. But I want you guys to hear it, and let's see what he's talking about.
Everybody, please listen to this segment, because actor and activist Terry Crews facing backlash for tweeting, "We must ensure Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into Black Lives Better." Here's how he explained it. Are all white people bad? No.
Yes.
Are all black people good? No.
Yes.
Knowing this reality, I stand on my decision to unite with good people, no matter the race, creed, or ideology.
Yes.
Given the number of threats against this decision, I also decide to die on this hill.
Yes.
Terry Crews joins me now. Terry, man, you stepped in it.
Damn, bro.
You say that
you're willing. Blackest nigga out here.
You say you're willing to die on this hill. You've taken a lot of heat for this. Explain what you were thinking and why
explain that shit.
That you die on this hill.
Well, again, I wanted to bring up the fact that, there are some very, very, militant type forces in Black Lives Matter.
So?
And what I was issuing was a warning. It's one of those things where I've been a part of different groups, I've been a part of different things, and you see how extremes can really get...
First off, let me stop it right there. What motherfucking groups have you been a part of, bro? You need to name these groups. Because you talk about I've been a part of groups. What? The Ku Klux Klan, nigga? What have you been a part of? Let us know so that we can get some type of background of what you've done and the things that you have, given your time and your effort to. Because right now, I think you're just talking shit. I don't think you've done shit.
Can go far and can go wild. And then when you issue a warning, and when a warning is seen as detrimental to the movement, how can you ever have checks and balances? In the 60s and 70s, airplanes went down all the time. And the reason they found out why they did was because the pilots could never be questioned. And when you have the leaders of the Black Lives Movement who are now talking about, if we don't get our demands, we're going to burn it down. Other black people who are talking about working with other whites and other races, they're being viewed as sellouts or called Uncle Toms. You start to understand that you are now, being controlled. You're not being treated as loved. You're actually being controlled. Someone wants to control the narrative.
Nigga, you is a sellout. What the fuck is he talking about? You a fucking sellout, bro. The shit that, first off, we knew you was a sellout when you let another man grab your genitals in front of your wife and you didn't put pause on that nigga. Okay? Don't get it twisted. We understand that your livelihood was probably in that man's hands when he grabbed your balls. Well, actually, yes, your livelihood was in his hands. Literally. But, I'm guessing, if you would have beat his ass right there at wherever he did it at, you might have lost your job. You might have lost some opportunities. You probably wouldn't be hosting the shows that you're hosting right now and things of that nature. But was it worth it, my nigga? Because that was some sellout shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what sellouts do. There's no way you should let another man grab your balls and not beat his ass. So, money is more important than your motherfucking integrity. Money is more important than your, than your integrity. And if you can put money before your integrity, nigga, we can't listen to you, nigga. Okay, period. You work for them. Okay? That's why you feel the way you do. That's why you like, oh, black people this. No, nigga, look, you got your check. Now, stand the fuck back, stand on the fucking sideline, and let the real motherfuckers do what they came here to do. Because, nigga, you not real. Flat out, you's a fake nigga. Big black as fuck. I would never have thought in a million fucking years. And I don't know you personally. I don't know Terry Crews personally. I don't want you to think I do. But I would have never, ever, in a million years, would have thought that a nigga that size, okay, working out and, you know, popping his muscles and shit, would let another man disrespect him in front of his wife. And the money was so important that you just let him do it. Okay, and then waited and started talking about it later or whatever. You should have beat his ass, bro. Period. So, first off, Terry Crews has lost a lot of respect from the black community for that sucker shit. Okay, because we not stupid. Alright? We know why you did what you did. Because once again, your financial freedom was in that man's hands. Okay? And if you would have put your hands on him or beat his ass like you were supposed to, you might not have got those opportunities that you were looking for. Because we all know that a lot of Hollywood and a lot of them individuals are gay and homosexuals and do that little shit. So we know what goes on in Hollywood. But once again, man, you know, you talking this shit, Terry Crews, but we really don't believe you because you let another man grab your balls in front of your wife.
And I viewed it as a very, very dangerous self-righteousness that was developing that, you know, that really viewed themselves as better. It was almost a supremacist move.
Let me jump
where
in.
They viewed
Let's go, Don. Check him, Don.
Their black lives matter a lot more than mine.
Okay, so let me jump in here. There's a lot that you said.
That's stupid.
You think Black Lives Matter is? You said it's a. You think it's an extreme movement? Because it's now part of the.
No, but this is the thing. It's a great mantra. It's a true mantra. Black lives do matter.
Do they?
But when you're talking about an organization, you're talking about the leaders. You're talking about the people who are responsible for putting these things together.
I got you. So let me. But Cherry, you realize that even during the civil rights movement, that Dr. King was seen as extreme. That movement was seen as extreme.
Facts.
So people who don't want to make change, movements are seen as extreme. You can paint them easily as an extreme when they are not.
Facts.
This is very true. But also, when you're talking about MLK, you're talking about Nelson Mandela, and even Malcolm X, they all realized that you had to have a non-racial component to these kind of movements, or there will be resentment. There will be get back. There will be, one of these people will tend to, listen, I don't want to move from one oppressor to the next. And one thing is really shocking.
Who's the next oppressor?
Who's the next oppressor, my nigga?
Oh, when I describe this, when you look in the city of Chicago, there are 9 children who died by gun violence, by black.
Hold on, let's rewind that for real.
Move from one oppressor to
let's
extreme when they are not.
What?
This is very true, but also when you're talking about MLK, you're talking about Nelson Mandela, and even Malcolm X, they all realized that you had to have a non-racial component to these kind of movements, or there will be resentment. There will be get back. There will be, one of these people will tend to, listen, I don't want to move from one oppressor to the next.
All right, so what the fuck are you talking about, Terry Crews? Like, you sound so uneducated and illiterate right now. What Don Lemon just said is exactly true. Every time black people want to stand up and protest or stand up for our rights, we're always looked at as extreme and radical and, you know, going against the grain. So, nigga, that's part of the game when you're doing what you're doing. When you're trying to make change. I don't understand this nigga. Then my nigga Don hit him with the question. Who's this other talk about? I don't want to move from one oppressor to the next. Who the next oppressor? Who the fuck is that gonna be? I couldn't see it being black people. Are you fucking retarded? It's not black people. You're not gonna oppress you. You oppress your fucking self because you're an idiot. But what the fuck are you talking about? And then Don Lemon asks him, well, who's the next oppressor? And let's see what his answer is.
And one thing is really
who's the next oppressor? Who's the next oppressor?
Oh, when I describe this, when you look in the city of Chicago, there are 9 children.
So he did not answer the question. So that just goes to show you he knows nothing. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He just running his mouth, okay, making black people look bad, first and foremost, making himself look stupid, because I know it's a lot of white people out there right now looking at Terry Crews like, we don't give a fuck about you, nigga. We don't give a fuck about what you got to say. Period. We don't give a fuck if you speaking up on behalf of white people or not. Nigga, fuck you. You a nigga. You need to be on that side. Period.
Who died by gun violence, by black-on-black gun violence, from June 20th all the way to today. And you're talking about, even with the Atlanta child murders, there were 28 kids who died in 2 years. You're talking about a month, and you have 9 black kids, and the Black Lives Matter movement has said nothing about this.
What does that have to do with equality, though, Terry? I don't understand what that has to do with equality, because listen, there's crime. There are people in those communities those people aren't just being nonchalant about gun violence. I lived in Chicago. There are many people who are working in those communities to try to get rid of the gun violence. The gun culture in this country is prevalent, but I don't understand what that has to do with a movement that's for equality for black people. It's not mutually exclusive that if you care about equality for black people, that somehow you're going to stop random violence or, unfortunately, kids from being shot. It just seems like apples and oranges.
It's not that way. This is the thing, Don. Black people need to hold other black people accountable. I said this the same thing. This is the Black America's version of the Me Too movement. If anything is going to change, we ourselves need to look at our own communities and look at each other and say, this thing cannot go down. And this is the thing, too. There are a lot of great, great people there who are held hostage by people who literally are running these neighborhoods with violence and then claiming that Black Lives Matter. When you look at the parents of these little kids who are mentioning, saying, hey, man, why aren't they speaking up for me, too? And then this is what I'm saying. When I look at this whole thing about, it's about who is controlling the narrative. It's got to be all Black Lives Matter. And what's happened is that because I even challenged it, because I even questioned and warned people,
Terry,
I became sick. If I told you to wear a mask,
Terry,
they want to kick you out.
You're a high-profile person. You're writing things out there. You know you're going to get backlash. You know people are going to respond to what you're saying on Twitter. So I don't think you should be surprised by that. I have a skin as tough as an armadillo because of what I do, and I think maybe you should adapt that. But here's what I have to say.
Get the fuck up.
The Black Lives Matter movement was started because it was talking about police brutality. If you want an all Black Lives Matter movement that talks about gun violence in communities, including, black communities, then start that movement with that name. But that's not what Black Lives Matter is about. It's not an all...
Can I get a check? Boop, boop. God damn, Don, you're not doing like that. Like I said, look. I understand what he's saying. Right? He's saying that, if it's Black Lives Matter, then every time something happens to black people, you guys should say something about it. But like Don Lemon said, that's not what really the Black Lives Matter movement is about. What the Black Lives Matter movement is about equality, as well as eliminating police brutality, defunding police departments, and basically reorganizing the way this country was set up. Because this country, we all know, was set up to make sure that black people stayed at the bottom. So Black Lives Matter is not just about the violence against black people, but it's also about the inequality when it comes to home ownership, when it comes to education, when it comes to, finances, business, when it comes to building wealth, period. So Black Lives Matter is not an umbrella for everything that happens in the black community. Every movement has to have a focus. If they focused on everything that happened in the black community, then nothing would probably ever get done, because no sooner than they focus on one thing, they have to start focusing on another thing, another thing, and another thing. So, once again, Terry Crews is just being very, in my opinion, he's being very ignorant. He's definitely showing his detachment from reality and the real black community that he probably grew up in, or maybe didn't. I don't know where Terry Crews came. Terry Crews may have grew up with an all white neighborhood with, two foster white parents. I don't know, but I'm just saying, when I see black people with their kind of like forgiving mentality on shit, on white people, when they be like, oh, don't worry, white people ain't all that, white people aren't bad, white people is, white people are. When I see that usually lets you know that person has had nothing but, in his opinion, and probably because he's just been so dumb, deaf, and blind to actually see when he was being discriminated against, he didn't know. Because he's so used to thinking that, there's no discrimination, and, white people are cool, and they're just like me, and we're not different, and I'm not a racist, they're not racist, it's this, it's that. Terry Crews is the type of individual who probably doesn't even believe in systematic racism. He probably like, systematic racism? What? I made it? What you mean? How is it systematic racism and I'm successful? Like, that's the type of nigga Terry Crews seems like he is. But let's finish this up.
Encompassing. So if you're talking about, if someone started a movement that said, cancer matters, and then someone comes in and says, why aren't you talking about HIV? It's not the same thing. We're talking about cancer. So the Black Lives Matter movement is about police brutality and injustice in that manner, not about what's happening in black neighborhoods. There are people who are working on that issue, and if you want to start that issue, why don't you start it? You understand what I'm saying?
But when you
dog.
But when you look at the organization, police brutality is not the only thing they're talking about.
I know that, but I agree, but that's not what the Black Lives Matter movement is about, Terry. Black Lives Matter is about police brutality and about criminal justice. It's not about what happens in communities when it comes to crime, black on black crime. People who live near each other, black people, kill each other. Same as whites. 80% of white people are killed by white people because of proximity.
Very true.
It's the same thing with black people. That happens in every single neighborhood. But that doesn't, again, I'm not saying that's not important that those kids died, but it's a different movement.
Listen, I understand what you're saying. I totally understand. It is about police brutality. That should never be accepted. I am not saying that that's not it, but they are. There's more there. And when I look at it, if they have more on their agenda, we need to ask them about what else is on that agenda other than police brutality. And that's all I'm doing. Questioning, warning, watching. And if that bothers you, now that bothers me. Because if I can't warn you, we are equal. We're equal. I should be able to say something.
I got it.
Terry Crews is full of shit, okay? And that interview shows that you're full of shit, bro. Like, Terry Crews is just talking to be fucking talking. He needs to shut the fuck up, okay? And like Don Lemon said, if you really have such an issue with, black kids being killed in Chicago on over the weekend or whatever, then nigga, you start your own nonprofit for Chicago and you get back into the community and you help that city get their shit together. That's what the fuck you do if you got a problem with some shit. Okay? That's all you can do. Alright, but you can do a lot more than other people because you got millions of dollars. Okay, so Don Lemon, shout out to Don Lemon, man. That was a hell of an interview. But Terry Crews, man, you need to shut the fuck up. You need to shut the fuck up or wake the fuck up. One or the other. So if you're not going to wake the fuck up, or if you choose to act like, everything is cool and white people is cool and, we got black supremacists and you don't want to be under a black president or whatever. I don't know what the fuck you're even getting at with the shit that you're talking about. But please, shut the fuck up.